Well, it's funny. I want to talk about, your Philly and the New York connection. Now, I met you years ago, and you won't remember it. I
I
used to
will
work
not.
the door. I used to work the door at the Comedy Factory outlet. And before I started doing comedy, so
Mhm.
I would sit there. There was like five of us. We were those red silk jackets,
Yep.
and you were the headliner. But I want to know, when did you start doing comedy? Because you were a New York act that came down, because Clay here, he never booked Philly acts because there was really no Philly headliners at the time, and you played the outlet. When did you start doing comedy? What you got you into stand-up comedy?
Actually, honestly, laziness. I mean, I have no skill sets whatsoever. I mean, I have a degree in journalism, so I knew how to write. And I was working jobs in New York City. I was doing PR for an architect and that kind of stuff. And a friend of mine, a girl I went to college with, called me and said, "You want to take a comedy writing class?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" So we did that a couple of nights, and it was taught by one of these Borscht Belt comedians, a guy named Dick Lord, who was really a great guy and funny and very nice. And there were probably 20 of us in the class. And they taught us how to structure if you're going to write comedy. But they also made you get on stage. And I had no inkling to do that. So I was writing my stuff and this and that. And at the end, you had to like get up and perform for the whole class. And I didn't want to, but he made me do it. And I was really good. That night, it was just one of those things. So a couple months later, my friend called. She said, "Let's go audition at a comedy club." I put together like a 5-minute set. I mean, this is 1981. So, um, so we went down, and it was Catch a Rising Star in New York. And what they did in those days, I don't know if they did this in Philly or not. They Mondays was audition night, not open mic, but audition night, and they mix in auditioners with the regular headliners and the big stars and all that. And you would get up at 5 a.m. and stand in front of the club, and there could be 20 people there, and they give out numbers out of a hat. It's only like 5 numbers, so you hope you got one. So I picked number 3, which means I would be the third audition to go on that night. And then the guy who was number 2 got hit by a car during the day, so I moved up a notch. Good luck. And so the guy got hit by a car, and I said, "Oh, good for me," because the narcissism was already kicking in. And I went on that night, and it was a full house. It was a big deal in New York in those days. And I have no idea what I did, but I killed. It was just one of those fortuitous oddball nights where things worked. And so they passed me on my audition and said, "You can start hanging out here," which means you can wait till 3 o'clock in the morning to get on in front of 4 drunks on a Tuesday. But I did that for a while, and just kind of slowly got myself more ingratiated in the scene. I quit my job. I was like 25, 26. And I remember I called my father. I said, "I'm going to give this a shot." And he said, "Well, now's the time to do it. Don't wait till there's a family and you're in debt up to your eyes. Go do it now." And I got lucky. About 8 months after I started, I think about 8 months, a guy from HBO happened to come into the club. They were doing these young comedian specials back in those days. This was before streaming and Netflix, and everybody had their own special. And they had done a couple of them. And they were casting, I think it was 6th or 7th annual young comedian. Anyway, the guy came in and happened to see me that night. And I'm brand new. I mean, I've been doing this for literally 6 or 8 months. And he booked me on the show. So it was me and Stephen Wright and Schmuck and Valerie, both huge producers and writers in Hollywood, and J.J. Wall and the High Heeled Women and the late, great Mike McDonald from Boston. And Alan King was the host. And Alan King liked me. I made him laugh. So we taped the show. And I guess it did well, because all of a sudden I have a manager. And now in those days, they just send you out on the road. And I had 9 minutes of material, and I'm headlining somewhere. I don't know what I'm doing. I quit a job 3 weeks ago. I have no idea what I'm doing. But so they say, "Okay, you're booked in Houston." To do what? Were you going to go entertain Texans for 45? Are you kidding me? I don't know what to. I'm afraid of them. But I learned how to, because when you only have 12 minutes of material and you have to do 45, you better figure it out. And it turns out I was very quick on my feet. Now they call it crowd work. I called it terror. But I figured out how I could work everything in and make it into a set by using them as devices to get into material. And it worked for a while. That's what I did.
Coops Common Corner.